All right, good morning. It is Saturday and another cool day. So today we're going to be talking about emergency vouchers, emergency hotel vouchers, what the continuum of care is, which is COC, and BSP, which is victim support. Boy, I always forget that one. It's I think it's called victim service providers. Okay, so BSP. So we're going to get a little bit into that. And so let me do a few introductions before we get going with this because this is going to be quite lengthy. This is a HUD director's report. So your perspective on this will be an explanation towards the end. And then I'm going to talk kind of internally at their process. That way to help better explain where these emergency vouchers are. Things have changed big time. You guys hear about emergency vouchers, you think run down to the housing authority. It's not there. That's not where they are. And the process most of you think is being linear is not. So the best way to educate really is to teach you from the manuals, same way that I learned over time myself. So as an introduction, I am the owner of section8consulting.com. Frankly, I don't really need many introductions. I'm pretty much known as one of the better consultants in the nation. Deal with thousands of clients every year. You can find us at www.section8consulting.com. I do casework with people, work through their cases, help them get vouchers and other things. I do not charge people to apply and stuff like that. That's a scam and a fraud. We work directly with people just like you would with a social worker, a caseworker, and so on, and use that expertise over 10 or 20 years to help people navigate the system better. The best way out there is to stop looking around Google. Google's filled with old, outdated information that isn't that relevant. YouTube's filled with a lot of people that have more interest in earning, copper pennies and wooden nickels than they are actually educated in the field of this. Okay. So that being said, let's talk a little bit about COC and what it is. That way you'll understand the context of this, and then we'll actually get to the meat of the situation. Because most of you are thinking right now, well, can you just tell me? Well, to tell you, I need to go through about 11 pages of information. Okay. So it requires an effort on your part to learn. Continuum of Care is a COC program that is designed to promote community-wide commitment to the goal of ending homelessness. It is not exclusively homelessness that we're speaking about, but anybody struggling with housing. Providing funding for those efforts by nonprofit providers, and it isn't just nonprofits, okay? It's also the Housing Authority and many other state and local governments to quickly assist people with rehousing, their self, their family, and other people, and then minimizing that trauma that you're going through as you're moving. And trust me, if you're low income and you're trying to get an emergency voucher and all that, you're in the midst of trauma, stress, and many other things. And through that process of dislocation caused by homelessness and other issues, they try to promote and effectively utilize mainstream programs for you and the many different types of people that might want this. Okay, so that's a bare minimum confusing explanation of what COC is. A better explanation would be you have HUD, which is your federal administrator of funds that sends money down to the county. And at the county level, you have those little houses with people working inside of them. Those are housing authorities. Some people like to call them PHIs, PHAs. They are the housing authority, and the housing authority is filled with county employees. That is not the only place in the world that actually gives out vouchers. You've got county programs, state programs, and of course the federal program. And inside of all of that, that federal funding goes down to another agency which deals in continuum of care, better known as Housing First. It also issues vouchers. In the old days, the emergency housing voucher and hotel vouchers were often administered by the housing authority, county employees. However, that has changed over to now nonprofits and continuum of care, better known as Housing First. Now that I've given you that exasperating answer, we're going to talk about some of the particulars and details, okay? This does require an attention span. Not everything you're going to hear is going to be interesting, but if you don't learn the whole process, then you know nothing. So let's talk about who qualifies for emergency housing voucher program. And we want to keep in mind the acronym EHV are specifically designed for households who are 1, homeless, 2, at risk of homelessness. Well, number 2 is just about everybody. Aren't we all at risk of being homeless if something goes wrong? Fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence, dating violence, sexual related issues, stalking, and other human trafficking issues. I had to be cautious in the words that I use on YouTube because they'll try to demonetize the channel over using specific words because they don't know the context I'm speaking. Number four, recently homeless or from whom is providing a rental assistance will prevent the family from becoming homeless or having a high risk of housing instability. That just about is everybody that's looking for a voucher. Again, the subject matter here is not so much that you need to be homeless. During the pandemic, we've created a lot of situations happening. At one point, 40 million were evicting, up to 40 million people were facing eviction. Another 8 million homeowners were about to lose their home. I'd say that this is applicable to a lot of people in the nation. So, we talked about what's inside of COC. So you apply, you go there, and I'm going to explain how to do that. But it's a these are all rapid rehousing programs. As it sounds, it's supposed to help you rapidly get this and rapidly be able to rehouse yourself. And so there are three options out there. Obviously, you have a rapid rehousing voucher, you have a PSH voucher, and you have EHV, which is emergency housing voucher. In my opinion, in descending order, the emergency housing voucher would be the best. PSH or permanent supportive housing would be the second best. And then RRH, to me, is not that great unless you're a young person. So, yes, COCs at their discretion can't refer households to rapid rehousing programs. You don't necessarily need a referral. You can often make contact directly with a continuum of care. And let me just go ahead and get you all that information for those that just want to skip the video and just want to contact these people, okay? So bear with me a moment. Just when I think I'm always well prepared, I'm not. Here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the federal database for every state continuum of care in the nation, and that'll help those of you with a short attention span to be able to skip straight to it. But without my advice, you're probably not going to do that well with it. But again, this is just to satisfy people that aren't looking to watch the whole video. So I'm linking that up live in the video. And what I'm going to do before we get into the reading of the will here, reading of the Holy Manual, I'm going to address a few comments here for some of our people that have commented. This is a live video, so you can chat with me directly and ask questions. Please do not ask open-ended questions like, how do I get Section 8? I'm not going to stop the video for an hour to give you a 20-hour explanation about that. Now, specific questions that I can easily give you an answer to, I'll be glad to do that. Michelle Sidney, I need emergency housing voucher. You and half the nation, so I agree with you. Jasmine Victoria, hey Jazzy, it's been a long time, girl. What have you been doing? D Jones, I'm an SRO. How do I get my voucher? So that's what this video is about. So just hang tight, Miss Jones, and we're going to get around to that. So for those of you that see that link that I just put in the live chat, go ahead and click on that, and you'll see the providers. You can sort it by state, county, and where you live, and you'd want to make contact. I would advise y'all to watch the whole video before doing something like that. Okay. So we're going to get back to the operational manual for this. Just bear with me. All right. So we're going to talk a little bit about the roles and responsibilities of PHA, and that's just a cool acronym for housing authorities. And then you have continuum of cares and VSPs, which are victim service providers. So they are pretty much responsible for accessing eligible households for EHVs, which is emergency housing voucher, referring eligible households to PHAs and EHVs. In other words, they can also refer you back to the housing authority if they happen to have a few emergency vouchers in their office, but it's highly unlikely. COCs may continually assist and refer households in completing and obtaining the necessary documentation for the EHV. Now, make no mistake, if they do decide to consider you for EHV, which is emergency housing voucher, you got to meet the same policies and procedures if you had walked in any housing authority, okay? The only difference this does is it cuts your wait down to 1 day. So if they're considering giving it to you, then it's already happening. It's not like you're on a lottery, on a list, or whatever. You just need to provide the proper documentation. And those rules about proper documentation will change contingent on the different COCs that are out there or VSPs. Moving on here, I'm going to go down a little bit, and we're going to get to some of the meat of the situation. Scrolling down a few pages. That's going to help us save a little bit of time. Boy, Boy, there is a lot of fluff written in this manual, so just keep bearing with me. So each now, one thing that I'm going to explain to you guys is that a lot of these EHVs come with support service and wraparound services. So I think the first step is when you link up, as I suggested in the video here, that you're making contact, you're requesting that you need assistance with housing, you're being giving a test, okay? And that's not like when you're in school. They're administering questions to you through their operational manual. Those operational manuals are called SPDAT, SP-DAT, and the other ones are BOSS. If you don't have those, mainly consultants and other people may have them. They're extremely hard to get your hands on, and they often are different for each state and county that you're dealing with. Inside of there, there's generally anywhere a line of questions between 12 to 30, and contingent on how high you score. Each question answered favorably would earn you a point. Each point goes towards a bigger score. Minimum scores are 17 to get you something. If you scored under a 17, then you would likely be considered for nothing other than just a general conversation. Over a 17 to about, I think, the mid 20s, that you would be considered for rapid rehousing. And then if you scored over that, say 24 to 34, you would likely end up in that area where they would grant PSH or EHV, which is permanent supportive housing or emergency housing voucher. Now, the conditions in which they grant these are based on different reasons for each, not housing authority, but every COC. So the only way you're really going to know that is if you're able to get your hands on a manual, which those are not very easy to get. It took me years to do so. Now, the award amount or the rent allocation for this or rent reasonableness is going to be determined by your household composition, whether or not you make money. So I want to make one thing clear about COCs and so on. In order to get this, they do require some discretionary money. So if you're in a fixed income or working, what they usually cannot help you with is if you don't have any income whatsoever. Now that brings you back down to RRH. So another thing I'm going to do is I'm going to link you up with a 2001 EHV FAQ, and I'm going to go ahead and give you that now. This should be able to help y'all in your own time sit down and consider your options with this. So here comes the link in live chat. It's 11 pages. And this is from HUD.gov, okay? It's just going to help you. And because I don't really feel like reading all that, because a lot of it is nonsense. You got to realize that people, when the government wants to help people with vouchers and funding, they get people that work at these big colleges to sit there, and the only way those children can make money is to write manuals. So it would be in the interest of the person that's been hired to write a COC manual to sit there and just ramble on for days, despite that the core of the information is a very small fraction. So this is a big part of the job that I do, is having to cut between all the bullshit and getting directly to the point. It gets rather tedious with a lot of these manuals, okay? So you kind of have to skip through there to get the sweet spot of all that, which is the information. So, and I think in this case, the sweet spot is simply this: you know who to contact by using the first link. You know to read this to educate yourself on the policies and procedures. It's a field guide from HUD and from 2001. That's the last one that they made. Second, that you have SPDAT, SPDAT, and that you're taking the assessment in there. That way, you're able to score high enough to convince these folks to give you consideration for one of the three vouchers: RRH, PSH, or EHV. And then three, that you would be able to effectively utilize this program within a 30 to 35-day range. I work with a lot of clients in this respect to kind of help them prep for that and be able to successfully navigate that system, and then hopefully not have, so they don't end up having to go to the housing authority and spend 15, 20 years waiting. See my point? Housing authorities are not always the greatest option when it comes to this. So I see a few more questions here coming up. Scorpio Love, I need it. Well, you have it now, Scorpio. DL Love, thousands of shelters for women, basically none for men. Well, the dynamics of shelters and Shelter Plus has changed for every city, and they got mega shelters. I don't know where you are. I obviously I would try to help you with that. Mr. Good morning. Good to see you in chat. You love all of these programs are basically for women. No, they are not. That's strictly your opinion or your view of it right now. That's because your idea or what you see, you're kind of looking through a Coke bottle right now, through the hole in that Coke bottle when you're drinking it. You've not been out this doing this 20 years. So I do know that these programs are not all for women. Okay, roughly an even amount of men and women, an even amount of elderly and disabled. So that's the thing. We have to be judicious in the way that we think and unbiased ourselves, okay? Because then we can also have people say, well, this program is just for people with a lot of children, or these programs are just for people that are a certain color. It's that kind of thinking that traps us in our own thoughts, and that's why we're under the bridge rather than not in the housing, because our only view of the things that we think that we know, or is just the nonsense we're looking up on Google. So I ask you to expand your mind and listen to somebody that actually knows. Okay, because I'm not sitting up here providing operational manuals and direct contacts to directors and other things because I'm a party clown at a child's party. I'm not handing out ice cream cones. I'm trying to help you guys quickly navigate the system. So, you know, I want everybody to try to let go of all those things we learned back in the 80s when we were young. This is Section 8, and vouchers are not the same system anymore. In fact, the system that we're seeking vouchers from is so much different than it was in 2010. So I need you guys to stay positive here in the channel. Okay, it's a Saturday morning. I sure as the hell don't want to be here, but I'm here because I know a lot of you need this. So, D Jones, I'm in an SRO and I'm getting HACLA funding. That's good. So just by those two acronyms, the SRO is something that was commonly used in New York, New Jersey, and San Francisco, which means single room occupancy. Okay. And HACLA indicates to me you're in the city of LA. See, that's how I know things. Okay, and we always talk about acronyms here. So I think that that's a good thing, Miss Jones, that you're getting that in LA because LA is an exceptionally hard city. In the state of California right now, there is a demand of greater than 200,000 people all seeking the same thing. Broadly across all those counties, there are not 200,000 vouchers that have ever been invented in the universe's history. So this is quite a strangulating process to get through, and everybody's trying to get a one up, And so I can tell you guys, a hard luck story won't get you anything. You either understand how these systems work or you fail at trying. D Love has given me some laughs. I appreciate that. See, one thing you guys will learn about me is I'm a straight shooter. I always tell you exactly what's on my mind. I don't sugarcoat shit. If you want that, there are lots of men and women here on YouTube that'll tell you just whatever that makes you feel good. I'm only here to tell you what reality is. So, moving on from that, what I'd like to do today is provide you a link with Espadat so y'all can prep yourself for those that want to learn before you call and try to get an EHV. Okay. So, if y'all bear with me a moment, I'm going to provide y'all with an Espadat manual. I reorganized my computer, and now everything is a little bit harder to find. This is 59 pages of pure glory. You want EHV, you want PSH and all that, mind by sit down with the manual, read this, okay, before you go to call somebody and then have them assess you, okay? So here it is. And it's linked. That's going to be 4.0. It's not the newest version, but it's the newest version I'm willing to give y'all, okay? With that, you should be studying the 30 questions starting at page 18 through 32. When you believe you sufficiently have about 24 points, then I would say use the other link earlier in the video that I've given to go in and call them and say, look, I'm struggling with housing. I need help. Can you help me? They give you an assessment, and then you do what you need to do, okay? If you guys don't understand that much, then let me tell you something. You better just hire a consultant. Don't need to be me. Or you give HUD a call, see how that works out for you, and call 211. I'll tell you how 211 is. They'll listen to you for about 30 seconds, giggle, and then hang up. The housing authority are notorious for being bipolar when they talk to you because they'll talk to you like you're a $2 trick. So if I'm lying about this, please do tell me right in this live chat. Now, if anybody's going to the housing authority and they're praying for you and handing out $50 bills and they're telling you they care about you, please let me know. I would love to visit that housing authority. But most of the housing authorities in America are definitely people that don't make a great deal of money. They're overworked or they hate answering the phone. And they're certainly not interested in giving you a lot of answers because it's not their job. But hey, if they're doing prayer circles at the housing authority, let me know if they're getting down good there. Otherwise, guys, you're going to have to improve what you know. Talking amongst yourself in Facebook groups. Let me tell you something. I've visited some of these Facebook groups talking about Section 8 and giving tips. Let me tell you, a lot of that's just nonsense. It is. If you don't have policy, procedure, data manuals, Title 24, U.S. Code, and other things related to the subject matter at hand, then the advice, you're just trading grandma's old secrets. That's all it is. It isn't going to help you at all proceed in this process. So we've established today that we have a link to what? Continuum of care, which has what? You give those people a call, they give you an assessment, and they have an opportunity to issue three different types of vouchers if you have a high enough score. Then I just gave you all SPDAT, SPDAT, which is a 59-page manual, which includes their methodology. It is their manual, okay? And inside of that, or around 30 questions, started at page 18 through 32. You should be reading that. And if you're smart, you'll read through it, not just thumb through it, because you'd want to know the methodology, how they're thinking when they're assessing. Now, should anybody cheat the system or do something unchristian, well, hell, that's your business, okay? But what I'm suggesting to you is this we're in the third year of a pandemic. It is not getting easier. The housing crisis is very real. There is an extreme shortage of low income housing. There is a crisis in every city in America at this point. I no longer joke about that because it's getting serious. And this summer, humans are a lot like ants. We're all, when it's pretty and the butterflies are out, everybody's going to want to move. Everybody's going to want a voucher this summer, and it's going to be pure chaos. So my suggestion is get ahead of this before it gets real. Okay. Now I'm going to move back because the comments are starting to roll through. Let's hope there's none that are too bad. D. Jones says, Housing Authority of County of Los Angeles. And I thought I was right about that. Kathy Warder, I have a question for a friend. I live in Florida. I'm on Section 8, but I also live in a USDA housing. Well, okay. So that means, I don't know that you live in USDA housing. I mean, USDA housing, you might have that type of loan. I'm on Section 8, but I live in USDA housing, 67 years old. Her income's under 1,200. Okay. I'm not quite sure of the question there. I know you're, Miss Warder, you're informing me. Sullivan Bryant, yes, California is hard. Let me talk about California briefly. California is the toughest state, period, now, on a magnitude of 20x compared to New York. You'd have a better chance in Bronx, Queens, Long Island than you ever would anywhere around Orange and LA. California is the epitome of the housing crisis. Second to that would be New York, and third to that would be Florida. And I'd say fifth of that would probably be around Vegas, Nevada. Why? Because half of California couldn't get what they want. They went over there to where? Nevada. You see where these housing crises get. And in addition to that, with landlords and all that stimulus money and stimulated all these investors who bought up a bunch of houses, now the market's on fire and rents have gone up 20 and up somewhere upwards of 40%. So even with a voucher, a lot of people can't even find a place to live. Miss Ortiz, I hope all is well. Jay, thank you for everything you do. Thank you, Miss Ortiz, and thank you for being the first person to thank me. After making over 400 videos, it's so rare that anybody takes 2 seconds to thank me for any of this. They presume that my time and these videos are all for free and that I was just born to do it. So I always appreciate somebody that shows common courtesy. Anyways, moving on. Okay, D Love, I'm laughing because history disagrees with you. Well, I'll tell you what, Miss D Love, I'll just put you out of the channel, and that way we don't have to worry about hearing your nonsense anymore. So that's the end of your reputation with us. You can go one of those other channels and figure it out from there. Sullivan Bryant, thank you. Kim SS, thank you. So I appreciate you guys. Kimmy, thank you very much. Jasmine Victoria, you always make me laugh. I'm on a tear today. You know what it is? I've had 2 energy drinks. So it's not that I'm trying to be too big of a jerk this morning. It's just I'm a little bit wired and I really want to get that information out to you guys. And I had a heckler in our little chat there. So, boy, they've got something coming to them, don't they? Because when they realize I'm the best in the country, that means they only have the options of the third and fourth best. So it's never a great thing to burn a bridge when I'm trying to help folks, especially when you come to my channel and talk shit. All right, so run right, Jasmine, and then True Crime Real Time. Now that's the new neat name of the day. So I am smack in the middle of navigating a system Sorry, guys, I forgot to turn the volume off of my phone. All right, so it says I'm smack in the middle of navigating the system myself. I'm on a CHB list, and I'm working with a girl at the HA and a girl at HRC, where I'm getting ESHCB list. They are messing with me. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. You're quite good at using all the acronyms. That's good that you've taken the time to really learn some of the system and some of the acronyms they use. And then True Crime Real Time goes on to say sufficiently disabled documentation. I have a disability that, by virtue of what is a disability, they have proof of diagnosis but still are poking around. That's because one thing, let's talk about the disability and considerations to disability. There are certain things qualified as a disability. So when we think of disability, a lot of people presume in order to have a qualified disability under HUD being a federal agency, that you would have to meet the finite standard of, okay, well, I don't have a disability check, thus I can't prove I'm disabled. Well, you're wrong. Social Security Administration, who cuts checks, disability checks, is a different federal agency. HUD is a different federal agency from the Social Security Administration. The standard of what a disability is for the Social Security Administration, which has nothing to do with HUD, is very high. You see a judge, a lawyer, you wait, you get denied, right? HUD's much lower standard to it. And in that, there are two parallels of what I call disabilities with them. And I'm not going to go over that list today because it's in many other videos. But let's just say that there are disabilities that are already defined as qualified, which means if you happen to have one of them, then they're not going to argue the point. They just consider you disabled as long as you have evidence through your doctor. And then there are those questionable things that go wrong with you. And those questionable things leave it at you. You're leaving yourself at the mercy of the worker, the people that work at the housing authority, to determine it. When I work with clients, we always try to make sure we're dealing with one of those disabilities that is already written into their operational manual that pretty much guarantees that you're looked at, viewed as a disabled person, rather than leaving it in the careful hands of a housing authority employee to make that decision for you. Because often, if they can reject, they simply will do it on principle. They're almost like an insurance company: reject, 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 appeal, appeal, appeal. So moving on, real crime now says, "Wow, Muslim." I must say, I'm going to say, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. I'm on Section 8 in Houston. I'd like to move to an apartment complex before my lease is over. Okay, well, that's a reasonable request. So all you need is a apartment location services to help you with that. Guys, when it comes in relation to this, me and dealing with section8consulting.com, let me just say this. I don't really do location services. That is for a real estate agent or a broker and so on. I definitely can help y'all with the resources that are connected to that, like affordable housing online and stuff like that. But there's no magic, there's no manual. That's simply going to a property that accepts Section 8, utilizing your voucher, applying, and so on. There's nothing that's that hardcore about that, other than the fact it's a pain in the ass process and it takes a while, but there's no magic in that. So I don't really handle the housing search part. And I don't think anybody would want to bill for that either, because if I got to sit there and spend 8 hours a day on the phone like a telemarketer trying to figure out which property is going to accept you, that's a very difficult job. So I think that the point of the services that I offer as a consultant is to get leading people up to getting the voucher. But boy, when you trying to find housing, trying to find a place to accept it, that's a whole different arena of things. And you would be best served by a real estate agent, a broker, or somebody that deals in that arena. Dee Dee Jones, give me some laughing faces. Bound or us. Hey, Jay, how are you? Jacqueline, Juno. Good to see you. Oh my God, you have the best information on the internet regarding the housing. So honestly, thank you. I'm sorry if I failed to express gratitude. You are truly amazing. I appreciate that. See, I smile when y'all do that. I love thank you. It's cheaper than paying me, right? So, Kathy Water, how that's how you get rid of the smart ass. Miss Water, that's correct. Just in case anybody's wondering, I had to put somebody off the channel. Their mouth was bumping along. I love the ones that show up in my channel. So they're here to do things and say things to try to instigate the situation. Let me tell you something, guys. Here's a logical thought for you. Nobody roams around the halls of YouTube, okay, looking for Section 8 videos unless their ass is broke, okay? And for somebody to be in denial and be a heckler in one of my channel here, and acting as if they're above Section 8 and vouchers and all. I find it very interesting because you don't arrive at my channel unless you're actually looking for the subject matter. And to be in absolute denial and then run around in my comment section of my live video like a confused little girl is always very curious thing for me to watch play out. So for those, I have to put them out on my channel, give them something to do, coloring book and some Crayolas. All right, moving on. True crime. I was trying to imply I'm not disabled because I don't receive SSI. Well, the thing about it is I don't think there's a true connection between SSDI and the disability aspect. What I'm suggesting to you, true crime, is that with or without that check, you can still be disabled. There's lots of ways to do it. And there's lots of people with disabilities that don't receive a check anyways. But anyways, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson goes on to say, but I will be able to leave before my lease is over in Section 8 voucher. Well, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, I don't know your situation or your case details. So you're asking me a rather broad question there. I was hoping you would fill in a little bit, few more of the blanks there. Jacqueline Juno, true crime is sure you're right. Sounds like Jay might be saying you should consider other ways to prove your thought, doctor elect. Maybe. Silver Fox, hello, Jay. Glad you caught you on again. Yep, I'm glad to see you too, Mr. Silver Fox or Mrs. I don't know if it's a Mr. or Miss, guys. You guys don't ever tell me if you're male or female. Jacqueline Juno, ha ha ha. D. John's laughing again. Sullivan Bryant, Jay, you're too funny. Hey man, you got to spice this up, okay? That's this the reality. Look, if you think this video is rough, you should be on the phone with some of my clients when they talk shit to me. I had a lady the other day, man. She was having a schizophrenic moment on the phone. I'm trying to help her, right? But you can't. When somebody goes in a full blown mode like that, you can't. I had to hang up on her ass. Then I get back on the phone. I can hear her screaming in the background. Now, keep in mind, I'm not the jailer. This lady is flipping out because she's having a moment, right? And the thing I wanted to express to her is I'm the only person out here trying to even help you, But she decided that she was going to treat the consulting that I do for her. She had it in her mind that I'm, like Amazon. She was going to sit there and talk shit to me on that phone like she had hired me, like I was an Amazon worker. When you call eBay or Amazon when you're mad and you want to take it out on one of them people from India or somewhere else, that's exactly what she tried to do. So the only thing she got was a dead phone line. I'm not taking that. My days, I got better things to do. So anyways, moving on. Jill Bowman, good morning from San Diego. So besides that, we were going back to SPDAT and BOSS system, and I'm going to provide those links again for you guys. So getting back on a serious note, I've used enough profanity in this one little video. It probably won't rank well, but that's okay. So let's go back to COC again, and I want to give you all that. So let me pull it up real quick. I've been real good in these last videos for about 6 months, just trying to keep it good and Christian on here, but it gets difficult some days because I really do have a problem with people coming in the channel and just expressing bizarre opinions. So I'm trying to get you all that manual again. Okay, I've got it now. All right, so first up, let's restart this again. I know a few of you are late to the party. So we're in live chat, the video is live. So for emergency housing voucher, this is your point of contact for all states. It's searchable. Link number 1. Okay, go ahead and note that and bookmark it. Now that you know who to contact and for what purposes, and also clearly you can rewind the video, let's talk about the operational manual again, which is SPDAT, and I'm going to provide that manual PDF to you. Again, 59 pages. There are 30 questions in there. Each question is worth a certain number of points. You guys need to score over a 24, okay? So I'm going to link that up now. Please bookmark it, guys. I don't want y'all coming back later in the comments section. Hey, I didn't get the manual. I didn't get the contacts. All right, so there's 4.0. You'd be smart to read all 59 pages. Don't just thumb through this. If you don't understand the context of the reason why they're assessing you and why they're wanting to give you a voucher, then it's not going to do you a lot of good to know both the questions and the answers, All right, now that you've got those two pieces of information, the next step for you guys is when you read through everything, you're confident in your score, you're confident in the questions, you're not going to choke up through your phone interview or in-person interview, I think the next step would be to explain to them, hey, look, I'm struggling with housing. I need help. You don't need to tell them you already know they have emergency housing vouchers. If you're scoring high enough, the opportunity will present itself. Okay. And again, this is all continuing care. A lot of people come to me and our website and so on, and they're talking about I need vouchers. Their concept of vouchers is only with the housing authority or only with HUD. There are many ways on this planet to get vouchers. So let's briefly recap on a part that we have not discussed in this video. So what are the vouchers and what kinds and what do they do? Well, we'll start with one of the better ones, which would be Section 202. Section 202 at present is a funding level that is attached to the voucher itself and would address people that are 62 years and older and that have a disability. Okay. Then you have Section 811. I think everybody knows what that one is. It's actually the most popular. That is when a person is 61 or younger, so 18 to 61 with a disability. You have mainstream vouchers, which means at any age, but you do not require. There's no requirement of a disability. Section 504. That's for people that may be aging out of group homes and so on, or also those that are between the ages of 18 and 24. Again, a funding level, a subsection of a subsection of code, okay, per HUD. And that's why all those numbers come up. There's actually a reason to those numbers. You go into the manual, these are subsections. Subsection 8, subsection 811, subsection 211. And for those of you that done your own taxes, if you look at tax code, it's based the same way. There's a gigantic manual, and then there's all these subsections. So where all these subsections lodge? Well, this is where you want to go to Title 24. Let's talk about that. You guys want to have a weapon you want to weaponize your experience with the housing authority, then you should probably know the rules and policies in which they have to abide by. So what I'm going to do real quick is pull up Title 24 for you guys. Probably going to use it through one of the legal programs. So what we're going to do is we're going to discuss real quick CFR system, which is Code of Federal Regulation. And now I'm going to give you the real part, okay? This is something to keep you busy when you're in the bathroom. All right, so this will be Title 24, CF Title 24, and it's going to be chapters, well, it'll be chapters 0 through 4,199. If you want to know the federal rules, then why not learn them? So here's your opportunity. I'm going to link you up. Title 24. It'll take you a bit. It'll take you a little while. Okay, it's not a definitive guide, but in principle, a lot of what we do discuss about policies, procedures, and so on is based on Title 24. Jacqueline June, Jay, do you think you will ever offer consulting pertaining to disabled purchasing through USD loans? You know, the thing about that's kind of sticky, right? So a lot of you guys have been asking about the home purchase program, USDA loans, and so on. The problem is that requires licensing and being, not only that, because I'm addressing an audience of people that are in every state. And when you start talking about real estate and loans and all that, it does require licensing. And there are different rules for every state. And so I'm apprehensive about talking about that. Also, it's out of my lane. Yes, you can utilize your voucher to purchase a HUD home and so on, but I don't know that I would be the best consultant in that arena. I don't have the kind of experience that some do. It's a very popular topic, and of course, the videos and the few that I've made about it are pretty explosive. So there are lots of people that don't know anything about that subject matter that make videos. However, I like to keep myself out of any legal peril or jeopardy. But I will say I will make another video as in my own experience with it to keep it safe, to not violate anything, and we'll see what happens there. So yes, I probably will make a video about it. Jay Gonzo, it takes more than one shot. Never stop trying. I promise. If you pursue unwittingly, doors will open literally. Well, that sounds like something when you buy one of those little calendars that give you a little saying every day. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like good advice. Silver Fox, my housing doesn't support home purchase. Kind of loose hair there. Okay, so, when we talk about home purchase and Section 8 vouchers, okay, mainstream vouchers, housing choice voucher, As we know, that program's been around since 2000. It's kind of evaporated since then, and it really started to evaporate back in 14. Um, you have to check literally with every county in the state to see which housing authorities still offer that. Okay, there's no national list. I wish there was. There's no national database, so it's an arduous amount of work. And you're right. The place that you're currently at may not offer it. Christina Coke, I am happy here. Well, I'm glad you're happy. It's Saturday, so I can think of better things right now I could do, but I'm quite enjoying this. And y'all keeping me challenged this morning. Timothy, good morning and welcome. Amen to you too. Jacqueline Juno, neither my son or I have any vouchers. I am looking into the USDA thing. So, Jacqueline Juno, the first step you want to take is first, in your particular county that you're in, you want to make contact with your PHI, your housing authority, to see if they offer the home ownership program. If they do, in fact, offer that, then your next steps would be getting a package so you could learn what the requirements are. Then you'd want to start finding out who the approved lenders are. You'd want to start working with a broker, possibly a consultant if you want to reduce the amount of stuff that you need to learn in the process. And you have to understand that the process itself is long, it's arduous, and you have to be really committed to it. A standard person may take a month or two to complete the whole process of a home purchase. You add a housing authority in the picture and all their rules, this process can go on for months or even 8 months. So you have to be truly committed to it. And there's a lot of rules and procedures and so on. You're not only working with that, but you have to meet guidelines under Fannie Mae, Fannie Mac. You have different loan terms, insurance, money that you have to come up with, or either get loan assistance. So it's just a real volley of things you've got to look into and be well prepared to be able to execute if you're going to actually do that. And then, of course, the nationwide search to find a housing authority that still offers it. So, and I will make a short video about that. But again, I'm not completely comfortable giving professional advice on rent because I am not a broker. Okay. Even though I understand fundamentally how it does work, I've read probably everything on the subject matter. I don't think that I should be making videos in regards to that, extensive ones, anyways. All right, guys. So you know what? It's Saturday morning. I appreciate everybody showing up, and we've had fun in the video. It's been fun. It's been bitter, a little trash talking. That's typical. If y'all, a lot of you that have visited this channel, you'll learn very quickly. A lot of my videos are like that. We incorporate so much into these videos. Look, nobody wants to sit here and watch a middle-aged white dude sit here and rattle on, but nothing but just details. So we spice it up. Sometimes I actually bring my rescue cats into the video. We talk about that. We talk a little bit about other news events that come on in the channel. Sometimes I have to, discipline bad actors in the channel, have a little fun. And I do use profanities. So sometimes you have to go to church and pray for me to stop doing that in my videos. But the thing is, if people aren't willing to speak to you directly and give you the meat of the situation, the truth, then they're just sugarcoating shit for you. And that's not the goal of surviving this. Because if you cannot handle adversity, if you're not willing to put in the work and hear things you don't want to hear, then you're going to have a really difficult time trying to survive the process of dealing with Section 8, housing authorities, HUD, and other systems. If you got a chip on your shoulder or stuff like that, or you think you're the smartest guy in the room, it's never works out well. Hell, even I know I'm not the smartest guy in the room. It's always wanting to just sit there, try to learn. I mean, there's a lot of videos I try to teach you guys, and we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of hours I put on here to teach y'all about every system out there. You look at the library of videos that rivals that of even HUD, except the difference is I'm going in vast detail in a lot of these videos to help you guys try to navigate at zero cost to any of you, All right, so I see a lot more comments rolling in. Jill Bowman, have a great day. True Crime, have a great day. All right, so I've got to go pick up one of my rescue cats from the vet today. I'm hoping she's going to be better. She's been in ICU with an IV and a catheter and other things. She poor thing almost died. And it wasn't anything that happened specifically for me. It's just she was a rescue cat, and I know she'll be excited to see me today. And then I tell you what, guys, we'll probably make another video Sunday, and I think that we'll talk a little bit more in depth. Now, one thing I did leave out in the videos, the hotel vouchers. Quick explanation there. When you contact the COC, you get an assessment. Sometimes when they want to burn through federal funds, that extra money they receive, they may offer to bridge your gap. In other words, you're 1 minute from being put out your door, and then they will offer you a hotel while they're processing your voucher. That's why I didn't go in great depth in the video about it, because it's something they just offer at random. The city and the particular COCs around the nation can offer different levels of that. They could sit there and put you in one for 90 days if they want to. If the county's filled with too many people making those demands, they may give it a short period of time. But there's no secret to getting hotel vouchers. They just simply offer that to bridge the gap while they fulfill and approve your application for the emergency housing voucher, permanent supportive housing, and rapid rehousing. All right, I'm out of here. We'll talk to you all again maybe Sunday. Bye.